In the beginning of the drama, we see Yugji, our female lead, happily watching her favorite runner win on TV. Her mother calls her and says there's no need to be overly excited and that she should go outside to run. Yugji goes out and starts running. We learn that she is also a long-distance runner. Jilon, her friend and the male lead, notes her running time. He asks why she is pushing herself so hard. She explains that her parents promised her a bicycle if she ran 5 kilometers within 20 minutes. When she asks Jilon for her time, he says, 17 minutes 59 seconds. Yugji is ecstatic. She finished much faster than expected. Jilon lifts her onto his shoulder and takes her home. At home, Yugji shows the timer to her mother while eating, but her mother ignores her. Frustrated, Yugji leaves the table and sits on the sofa, angrily saying that if they never intended to give her a bicycle, why make the promise? Her mother asks for a teacup, and while handing it over, she notices an envelope with money on the table. Seeing the money, Yugji becomes happy. It's for her bicycle. Her father adds that her uncle will send the same gift for her and Jilon on her birthday. Yugji becomes angry again, saying she already told them she would not celebrate her birthday with Jilon. Feeling hurt, Jilon leaves without eating. Yugji's mother talks to her, revealing that Jilon has been her neighbor since childhood and that they have always been very close friends, even sharing the same birthday. She advises Yugji not to behave this way toward Jilon because he left without eating on her account. We see Jilon in his room upstairs, studying. Suddenly, he hears the bell tied to the window being pulled. Yugji is below. This is how they often communicate. Yugji sends a basket with food and a letter, telling him not to take out his anger on food and to join her in buying a bicycle the next day. Jilon smiles and starts eating. The next day, they go to buy a bicycle. On the way, they meet friends Han and Malin. At the shop, Yugji buys a pink bicycle. Han takes silly photos with her in messy poses, angering Yugji, who hits him. During the scuffle, someone steals Yugji's bicycle and runs away. Everyone chases, but Yugji keeps up with the thief. The thief reaches a school and asks if she is a long-distance runner. She confirms she never gets tired. Somehow, Yugji climbs onto the back of the bicycle and tells him to stop. Inside a classroom, a boy is doing an experiment. Hearing the commotion, he looks out and accidentally mixes the wrong chemicals, causing an explosion that breaks the lab window. Below, Yugji falls from the bicycle and the broken glass cuts her leg. Friends rush her to the hospital while the thief escapes with the bicycle. Back home, Yugji's leg is bandaged. Her mother reads a newspaper about a boy sneaking into school and causing a lab fire, leading to his expulsion. Yugji explains that this incident caused her injury. Her mother leaves, and Yugji is alone when Jilon's mother calls, saying she cannot come. Meanwhile, Jilon prepares food for his mother. Yugji visits him and tells him his mother cannot come, which makes him slightly upset. She tells him not to waste the food. He explains he is storing it in the fridge. Seeing the food, Yugji feels hungry, and he lets her eat. They eat together. A girl who likes Jilon, Hui, arrives. Jilon asks why Hui is there, and she lies, saying she only came to check Yugji's injured leg. She brings drinks, but when she goes to put them away, Jilon steps outside. Hui quickly follows, but Yugji stops her and asks for help getting to the washroom. During this, Yugji says something that annoys Hui, and she leaves angrily. Out of spite, she deflates Jilon's bicycle tire. The next morning, Yugji has to leave. Jilon wants to take her on the bicycle, but the tire is flat. Yugji says she can go alone, but Jilon lifts her on his back instead. On the way, Yugji tells him to be kind to Hui, knowing she likes him. After vacation ends, everyone returns to school. Han immediately starts teasing Yugji with silly photos of her poses. In class, everyone laughs at her, and when Yugji tries to grab a photo, the headmaster enters and asks the class monitor to stand. Yugji is the monitor. The headmaster questions why she was chosen when her marks are low. Yugji explains that except for academics, she excels in everything else and deserves the position. The headmaster points to Jilon, extremely hardworking, and says he should be monitor instead. Han disagrees, saying Jilon already helps too much and giving him more responsibility would be unfair. A new boy enters the class, Jian, the second male lead. He is so handsome that everyone turns to look. He sits near Yugji, who introduces herself as the monitor and tells him to ask if he needs anything. On the playground, when Jian plays, all the students gather around to watch. Han comments that Jian is the student who caused the lab blast at his old school and was expelled, now joining here. Yugji becomes furious and confronts Jian, shouting about her leg injury before walking away angrily. Jian lifts her onto his back and takes her to the school doctor. The doctor examines her leg, and when she feels pain, Jian offers his hand for support, and she bites it hard. The doctor advises Yugji to rest for a few weeks, but she insists on running the race in 2 weeks because finishing in the top 3 gives her 10 marks. The doctor warns that running could end her career. Yugji becomes upset and leaves. Jian asks why the 10 marks matter, and the doctor explains they are important for college admission. After school, everyone heads home. Jian tells Yugji and Jilan they will meet tomorrow, irritating Yugji further. She reminds him he never apologized for her stolen bicycle and leg injury, and promises to teach him a lesson. At home, Jilan talks to his father. His mother works in Japan. Their new class teacher, Teacher Kong, is visiting students' homes to understand their situations. Meanwhile, Yugji is about to tell her mother she cannot run the race when Teacher Kong arrives and discusses Yugji's grades. Her mother admits her academic weakness, but praises her sports talent, saying if she places in the top 3 she will earn 10 marks. Yugji protests she cannot run because of her injury, but her mother gets angry and even tears her comic book. Yugji sits outside crying. Her brother, Tion, consoles her, saying their mother was the same with him too. Yugji asks him to leave her alone, and he does while Jilan watches quietly from the window. The next morning, Yugji and Jilan go to school, and Jilan promises to help her with studies. On the way, some students ask about Jian, but Jilan says they don't know him well since he is new. Jian suddenly appears, lifts Yugji onto his back, and takes her to the classroom. Yugji announces that their class will perform a music show at the autumn festival. Hui interrupts, requesting a dance instead because she was previously a dancer, but Yugji refuses. Han complains about missing shoes he bought after selling watches. Jian prepares to fight the boys with a steel pipe, but is stopped by Teacher Kong, who asks where he is going. Jian replies that he's going to the washroom, then steps outside to confront the boys. In class, Teacher Kong introduces himself and asks the class monitor to stand. Seeing Yugji, he decides to change the monitor. Jian arrives, returning Han's shoes. Teacher Kong announces Jian will be the new monitor. Yugji protests and questions if he is good in studies. The teacher asks the class a difficult question. Students encourage Jilan, but he struggles. Jian answers verbally, impressing the class, while Yugji watches, unhappy. Outside, Yugji encounters the same boys from the morning. She gives them a letter from Jian challenging them to a fight. Back in class, she signals a girl to inform Jian that bullies are waiting. Jian tells Yugji to leave it to him and goes to confront them. The boys follow, but the headmaster appears, overhears, and heads outside. Class begins. The headmaster returns and tells Teacher Kong the fight area had broken glass and blood. Everyone panics and looks for Jian. Teacher Kong scolds Yugji for creating the mess. At the club room, a student informs them Jian is in the hospital. They rush there, where Yugji cries, blaming herself. Jian teases her for crying, assuring her it's just a small injury. The police confirm everyone is safe. A flashback shows falling stage lights collapse during the argument, and Jian pushed everyone away to save them, injuring himself. There was no fight. The next day, Yugji brings food and drinks to Teacher Kong to pass to Jian. The teacher explains that Jian's parents died when he was a baby, and he was raised by his grandmother with limited means. Despite this, Jian excels in studies and has won many medals. Yugji borrows Jilan's bicycle and goes to Jian's house. At first she hesitates, but Jian invites her in. Outside, Jilan arrives and sees Yugji entering Jian's home. Inside, Jian proudly shows Yugji her bicycle. A flashback shows the bullies who are now friendly with Jian helped him search for Yugji's stolen bicycle. When Yugji leaves Jian's house, she finds Jilan waiting. On the way, Jilan says the bicycle isn't actually hers. Yugji quickly shushes him, saying she knows, but Jian put in a lot of effort to find it. The next day, class begins. A few boys sneak off to the game shop. Jian tries to stop them, but they trick him and leave. When Teacher Kong arrives, he asks where the boys are. Jian lies, saying they went to the washroom with stomach trouble. When the teacher tries to check, Jian stops him, saying it might be full. Class begins. Yugji reads her comic instead of listening. Jian annoys her. Seeing the teacher approach, Yugji quickly passes the comic to Jilan. The teacher asks her to solve a question on the board and points out she opened the wrong chapter. Jian explains Yugji has a leg injury and lifts her on his back to the board, guiding her. When the teacher objects, Jian writes answers on her leg. Jilan watches quietly, jealous. After class, Jilan angrily returns Yugji's comic. The teacher arrives and confiscates it again. Yugji orders Jilan to get it back, but he insists she must focus on college admission. She leaves angrily. Meanwhile, the headmaster goes to the game shop. The headmaster brings Han and the others back and punishes them with 100 laps. Jian steps forward, saying it was his fault and takes the punishment alone. Later, Han gathers the class and everyone joins Jian until they finish the laps. After school, Han and Malin visit Yuji's house. Before leaving, Han returns her comic and says Jilan secretly asked him to. Malin reveals Jilan took it from the teacher's drawer without her noticing. The next morning, Jilan installs a stand on his bicycle for Yuji's comfort. Seeing this, Yugji forgives him, and they ride to school. In class, the teacher scolds everyone for skipping his period to play games and announces a math test. Anyone scoring below 80 will lose the autumn festival party. Yugji panics and Jian tells her to meet him after school. Jian explains a plan for group cheating because they cannot prepare well. On test day, students swap sheets, except Jilan refuses to give his to Hui, upsetting her. After grading, the teacher notices identical mistakes and suspects cheating. He calls Hui to his office. She tells the teacher about Jian's plan and Jilan's role. Jian takes responsibility, and Yugji supports him. The teacher gives a retest and instructs the class to study seriously. For 3 days, Jian teaches the class. Study groups are formed, with Jian leading Yugji's group, making Jilan jealous. He asks the teacher to place Yugji in his group, but the teacher refuses. Jian patiently explains balance and unbalanced forces to Yugji. When she does not understand, he takes her outside, using balls and bully boys as practical example. They share drinks, and Yugji tells Jian about an upcoming race. She can now participate. They chat until Jilan arrives to take Yugji home. At home, Jilan asks her to write a letter for his mother. Yugji begins writing about Jilan, causing him to accidentally fall on her, creating an awkward moment, and she runs away. The next day, Yugji's leg has healed. She practices running but tires quickly. Jian motivates her, running beside her, making Jilan jealous again. In class, Teacher Kong announces a physics test. Yugji asks Jian if she can copy, but he refuses. She tries bribing him with small tasks. Jilan asks the teacher to join the physics competition because Jian is also participating. Initially refused, Jian supports him, and he is allowed. Jilan studies late, while Jian reads comics. On competition day, Jian finishes first. Jilan works until the end. Jian wins first prize. Yugji notices Jilan is sad and cheers him up. The teacher announces Jian's reward, a week in Hong Kong. Jilan congratulates Jian, and they become friends. During the physics test, Jian supervises instead of participating. Yugji hopes he will help her cheat, but he does not, and she fails, leaving her furious. The next day, Jian prepares to leave for Hong Kong. His grandmother offers money, but he refuses, showing her a box of saved money. After she leaves, he puts the money back and prepares the pressure cooker. Suddenly, Malin calls, saying some boys captured her and Yugji and demanded Jian come naked to save them. Jian rushes over, only for Yugji to reveal it was a prank for the physics test. They laugh until a loud blast erupts nearby. Jian runs to find a fire. At school, Teacher Kong tells Yugji she missed too many races, so someone else will participate in the new race. She is upset. That night, Malin reveals the blast happened at Jian's house. Yugji rushes there and sees the damaged kitchen ceiling. Crying, she apologizes for her pranks. Jian reassures her it wasn't her fault this time. He had turned the gas off, but his grandmother unknowingly turned it on again. Yugji offers to call friends for help, but Jian refuses. His grandmother scolds him, thinking the blast was his fault. His Hong Kong ticket is also ruined. Yugji sneaks curtains from her mother's room and brings them with Malin to Jien's house. She tells him Han expects a gift from Hong Kong. Jien says he already informed him he cannot go. Yugji asks why he won't tell everyone the truth, but he insists on managing alone. He falls asleep, and Yugji and Malin clean the house and hang curtains. The next day, the three go to school together. Jilon notices and feels unhappy. Han calls Jien, and Jilon sees cement stains on his clothes. Malin and Yugji see another class practicing a magic show. Furious, Yugji confronts their monitor, who says Hui said her class cancelled their show and is doing a dance instead. Yugji drags Hui to the washroom and fights with her. Malin calls Jilon, Han, and Jien, who run to watch. The chaotic fight continues down the stairs. Afterwards, Yugji talks to Jilon, who sympathizes with Hui, making Yugji angry. Jilon notices cement stains on Yuji's clothes and asks where she was. She replies, "This is none of your business," and walks away. Later, a girl tells Jilon someone is waiting outside. Hao, an old friend of Jien, says Jien borrowed money recently and asks if he's in trouble. Jilon insists Jien should be fine since he returned from Hong Kong, but Hao says he borrowed money last week. After school, Jilon follows Jien and sees him lifting tiles. He helps him and asks why Jien didn't ask for help. Jien explains he didn't want to trouble them since he hadn't known them long. He borrowed money from an old friend, works part-time, and is managing fine. Suddenly, the roof collapses. His grandmother calls them for food. Jilon asks how she didn't hear the noise. Jien says she can hear only a little. Now he has to fix the roof and buy her a hearing aid. Jilon sees a photo of Jien's parents and realizes he has none. He calls his father to find someone who works with tiles to help Jien. The next morning, Yuji's father asks if she fought with Jilon since they haven't gone to school together. She denies it and boards the bus. Jilon is on the bus and stands beside her. They reconcile. At school, Jien insists the magic show must happen. Hui looks at him angrily, so Jien adds a belly dance to the show. The next day, the teacher assigns homework and warns that failing it will cancel the show. Yugji struggles and goes to Jien for help. He starts teaching her daily. One day, Yugji takes Jien to buy a hearing aid. Jien likes it but lacks money, so Yugji excuses him from the shop. On the way home, they have fun and meet Jilon outside Jien's house. Yugji goes inside while Jilon offers Jien the tiles. Jien refuses, but Jilon explains they were from the factory of his father's friend and would be wasted anyway. Jilon also gives him money and tells him he can repay later. The day of the magic show arrives. Jilon removes a screw from a chair for the bicycle. Hui climbs the chair to ask if Jilon will watch her, but falls. Jilon rushes her to the hospital and forgets to put the screw in the bicycle. The show begins. They perform a storytelling act with Jien riding the same bicycle with the missing screw and Yugji sitting. They fall and accidentally kiss, creating awkwardness. At home, they sit with their phones. Jien calls first, offering homework help and apologizing. Yugji says it was just an accident. Jien agrees and hangs up happily, then dances. A flashback shows the fire in the school lab happened because Jien was distracted watching Yugji during a lab experiment. Feeling guilty when she got hurt, he began searching for her bicycle. Next day, Yugji visits Jien's house. Hearing her voice, he enters wearing clothes similar to her father's, subtly showing his feelings. They watch TV together. Yugji asks which actress he likes. Jien lists a few, saying girls should be beautiful and feminine. At home, Yugji dresses in a frilly outfit and talks politely, shocking her family. Her mother tells her to change. The next day, Jilon visits the hospital. The nurse tells Hui she's fully recovered and should go home. Hui shows her dance steps, and just then Jilon arrives with lunch he made. Hui admits she stayed because Jilon visited daily. Jilon says this is his last visit and tells her to go home. She replies her mother is picking her up. At school, Yugji calculates her love percentage with her favorite actor. Jien secretly checks theirs too and gets a high score, making him happy. After school, the friends gather. Han talks about his favorite movie and invites everyone. Jien accidentally ruins Yugji's favorite actor's poster, and she chases him to a tree. Jien asks if her birthday is on September 17th. She confirms. Han mentions the movie's last show is on that day. Yugji asks Malin and Han to join, both decline, so she asks Jilon. He agrees and gives her money to book tickets. Jian then goes to a salon. The stylist, Shevla, knows him from the neighborhood. Jian gets a haircut inspired by Yuji's favorite actor, but admits it doesn't resemble him. Shevla gives him her brother's jacket to help with his style. At home, Yuji remembers errands her mother gave. Jilon volunteers to fetch the items. On the way, he sees a lady at his house's window. Upstairs, he overhears his father talking to her and hides. He later asks who she is. His father says she's a client. Jilon argues that clients don't cook for employees. His father says he needs help at home and asks how long Jilon will do everything instead of studying. Jilon replies that the only person they need is his mother and goes to his room to write her a letter. Next day at school, the teacher distributes a magazine featuring Huey's song. Huey sings it and tells Jilon to open page 14, revealing the song is dedicated to him. Yugji and Jian are absent. Yugji went to book birthday movie tickets and Jian went separately to buy them with his savings. After school, Jian learns his grandmother fell. He rushes to her. On the way, Shevla reminds him about the hearing aid. In the shop, a boy offers a cheap one, but Jian refuses and takes his grandmother home. Since she cannot hear him, he refunds his movie tickets to buy the hearing aid from that boy. The next day, Jian wishes Yugji happy birthday, but says he cannot meet her due to work. He helps his grandmother put on the hearing aid, but it doesn't work because it's fake. He confronts the boy, who says he bought it from Han from Jian's school. Jian lets him go. Yugji waits for Jilon at the theater. Jian is cycling somewhere and meets Hui, who says she is on her way to watch a movie with Jilon. Jian remembers Jilon was supposed to accompany Yugji and rushes to the theater. Inside, Jilon watches the movie while Hui sits behind him. When the movie ends, Hui covers Jilon's eyes. Surprised, he asks why she's there, since he expected Yugji. Hui explains she placed a movie ticket for him inside his book, and Jilon realizes he mistakenly thought it was Yugji. They leave together. Outside, Yugji goes to the washroom, leaving her bag with Jian. She spots Jilon with Hui and becomes angry. Jian arrives as well. At home, Yuji's father gives her a cake from Jilon, but she refuses it. He asks if they have fought again. Yugji ignores him and sees a new Pizza Hut pizza in the newspaper and wants to go. Her mother says she must score 70 on the upcoming math test, and Yugji agrees. The next day at school, Jian meets Han, who shows all his items and assures him he never sells fake products. Jian checks the remaining hearing aids. They are all genuine. Han asks the price of the fake one. Jian says 20 yuan. Han says it was sold for 50, meaning the boy must have removed some part. Jilon buys a hearing aid from Han and offers it to Jian, who refuses. Han insists he keep it, since he now has new sneakers. Jian gives Han money and keeps the hearing aid. At school, Group 1 stays for extra classes, and Yugji remains determined to score 70 in math. Meanwhile, Han and Jilon meet the skating club boys who sold Jian the fake hairpiece. Han sells them proper skating shoes. They fall because the shoes are defective. Han says they deserved it for tricking his friend and leaves with Jilon. In class, Yugji falls asleep while studying. Jian comes to borrow a pen, notices saliva on it, and wipes it on the newspaper in her bag, where he sees her Pizza Hut note. He understands why she's working hard. Since it's late, Jian walks Yugji home. Jilon tries speaking to her, but she ignores him. Even the next day, she continues ignoring him. At home, Jian's grandmother reports the new hearing aid works perfectly. She apologizes for the pressure cooker incident. Jian says it's fine. She asks him not to borrow money again, and he promises. The boy who sold the fake hairpiece arrives to apologize. At school, Han asks if the boy apologized, and Jian confirms. Jilon stops Yugji and explains he didn't know Hui had slipped the movie ticket into his book. Yugji believes him. He gives her a note asking to meet on Saturday. Later, the friends gather, and Han tells Jian about a basketball match with another school and asks him to participate. Jian agrees. On match day, a boy from the other school claims their uniforms are identical, so they should change. They refuse, causing an argument. Teacher Kong tells his team to remove their shirts for identification. Jian is reluctant at first, but when he removes his shirt, everyone notices bruises. The match starts. Opposing boys injure Jilon, triggering a fight. The teacher ends the match and sends the other school back. Han asks Jilan if Jian was beaten since Jian didn't retaliate. Teacher asks Jian about his bruises and Jian lies, saying he has a rare hereditary disease that causes bruising when stressed. The teacher researches it and realizes Jian fooled him. Jilan is at the school supply shop and sees Jian talking to someone. Inside, Jian gives Yugji a math question, promising a gift if she solves it. Jilan comes there and asks Jian to meet him after school and asks if Jian considers him a good friend. Jian says yes. Jilan then asks honestly about his bruises. Jian explains the boy who sold him the fake hearing aid brought friends to his house and threatened Han. Jian told them to take revenge, but avoid his face so his grandmother wouldn't notice. Jian also tells Jilan that he likes Yugji. Jilan looks at him, knowing he likes Yugji too. The math results come. Yugji scores 70. She excitedly shows her parents, but they're arguing, so she goes to Jilan's house. She sees his dad with the woman he likes. She asks Jilan if he's ignoring the woman. He avoids the topic and asks if she has gone to Pizza Hut. She tells him to drop it. The next day, Yugji waits for Jilan, but he sends a note saying he's busy. Annoyed, she says, "So you have time to write a note but not take me out?" Jian calls her outside and takes her to Pizza Hut as a birthday gift. Yugji is delighted. The next day, she confronts Jilan, asking why he had asked her to go out if he wasn't going to take her. A flashback reveals he secretly gave the Pizza Hut coupons to Jian so Yugji could enjoy the outing, hiding his own feelings. Jian is at home when Ming, a student from another school, calls, telling him he needs to tutor someone for money. Jian agrees. Later, Jian is at his grandmother's stall with school friends having breakfast. He tells them he has to go somewhere, leaves his bag with Yugji, and asks her to put it on the bench. He instructs her that if the teacher asks, she should say he went to the washroom. Han mentions Jian has been meeting old friends and receiving envelopes, making Yugji wonder how he afforded Pizza Hut. At school, Yugji and Jian are on cleaning duty, pretending to be their favorite comic characters. The headmaster catches them and punishes them by making them balance water bowls on their heads. It starts raining, soaking them both. Jian faints and Yugji quickly carries him to the nurse's room. Later, Jilan checks on him, but Jian avoids explaining where he had gone earlier. The school holds a puberty checkup. The nurse explains body changes. In the washroom, boys compare themselves. One boy's hairy legs make Jilan, Han, and Jian joke they have estrogen deficiency. At night, Jilan gets medicine from his father's factory for Jian. They apply it to their legs and sunbathe on the rooftop to grow more hair. Their legs begin itching badly, so they run to wash them. With no water at home, they go to the school pool, then stop to watch TV in a shop. Jian tells Jilan he wants to confess to Yugji, but Jilan fears being abandoned by Yugji, like his mother abandoned him long ago. Then he gathers the courage and says, "Yes, you should tell her." The news announces the famous singer Lee Min is coming for a concert. Han insists everyone must go, promising to pay for it. The next day in class, the teacher notices Yugji and Han hiding their faces behind notebooks. When they remove them, he is surprised to see their new hairstyles for the concert. He comments that he is also a fan, but they shouldn't have changed their hair so drastically. Later, Jian accompanies Yugji to get concert tickets. Along the way, Yugji spots a pancake stall and wants to eat. Jian buys it, but while she eats, he faints. Yugji quickly carries him to the school nurse. His grandmother learns Jian fainted from weakness and cries, realizing he had been eating only one meal a day, thinking the school provided lunch. Jilan reassures her and asks her not to worry, saying he will now share his lunch with Jian. Yugji watches from a distance, feeling guilty. "This is all my fault. If I had given you the pancake earlier, maybe none of this would have happened." The day of the concert arrives. The headmaster keeps students busy until 9:30, even though the concert started at 7:30. Only after Han answers correctly are they allowed to leave. They rush to the bus, but the security guard informs them the concert ended early due to rain. They leave disappointed. The next day, Malin is surprised when her home tutor arrives, and it's Jian. Jian tries to run away, claiming he came to the wrong address, but Malin stops him, knowing he tutors quietly after school for money. Malin asks him how he isn't afraid of what might happen if the teacher finds out he's doing this secretly. Jian shows her a fake ID card that looks very real and promises he will find her a new tutor. Malin persuades Jian to come upstairs with her, explaining that all the new tutors who don't know her usually tell her parents everything about her studies, which is why her parents are getting stricter. She tells him that if he becomes her tutor, she won't have to worry. Jian agrees. In Malin's room, her mom inspects him and tests him by asking about an English poet. Jian recites a short poem from Malin's calendar, impressing her. Meanwhile, Hui goes to Jilan's house to study with him. Jilan struggles to get her to leave, but she threatens to jump from the balcony if he refuses, so he lets her in. After studying, they walk to the soup shop, and he buys soup for Yugji. Hui teases him about going so far for Yugji and confesses her feelings, but Jilan says he already likes someone else. Hui accepts this and gives him her umbrella, saying it's about to rain, but Jilan runs home, leaving her sad yet determined to keep loving him. He delivers the soup to Yugji, who is delighted. The next day, we see all of them at school having lunch. After that, Jian goes outside to meet Ming, where Ming tells him that he spoke to Malin's mother, but she doesn't want to change her tutor. Jian says that now he has no choice, so he tells Ming to say that he got injured in a car accident and cannot come to teach. Then, Ming gives Jian some tips from his school that will help him. Later at night, Jian calls Jilan and asks him to gather everyone the next day. The following day, we see everyone voting, where Jian shows them the notes Ming gave him, and everyone starts discussing them. Meanwhile, Han sees a newspaper and learns that Lehman is going to have a new concert. He asks who will go to the concert with him after the exams, but no one pays attention. He then asks why everyone is ignoring him. Yugji says that if he doesn't want to study, he should leave. Han says that he is asking one last time, and if they keep ignoring him, he will jump into the water. Still, everyone ignores him, so he actually jumps in. However, there is very little water in the lake, so he doesn't even drown. He then tells everyone how mean they are for not saving him, and everyone laughs at him. After that, everyone starts studying very hard for the midterm exams. They work diligently, and soon the exam day arrives. The headmaster is outside the school, thoroughly checking all the students to ensure no one has brought cheating materials. We notice that Han hasn't come for the exam, and even his friends don't know where he is. During the exam, Malin becomes very nervous because she can't think of any answers. She asks Jian for help, but the teacher notices her and goes to Jian to check. Seeing that he is already finished, the teacher takes his paper. Yugji, noticing Malin's struggle, tries to show her paper, but the teacher sees them as well and gives Malin a last warning. Malin becomes extremely worried and remembers her parents' words that if she doesn't do well, they will scold her severely. Out of nervousness, she takes Jilan's paper from behind, copies the answers, and then returns it. The teacher sees all three of them and disqualifies them. Malin faints immediately due to the pressure. Everyone rushes her to the nurse's room. When the headmaster sees this, he scolds the class teacher. When Malin regains consciousness, her mother takes her home, saying she no longer needs to go to school. Malin sits there and cries. All the students' parents are then called to school. When Yugji tells her mother about this at home, her mother immediately suspects her of cheating, which angers Yugji greatly. The next day, her parents come to school. They are also representing Jilan's parents, because Jilan's father is not in the city, which further frustrates Yugji. Seeing her behavior, Jilan tells Yugji's parents to speak only for Yugji and says his own father will come later. The headmaster then turns to Yugji's parents and says that cheating is a very serious matter. Yugji angrily tells the headmaster that she did not cheat. Meanwhile, Huey's mother meets the class teacher because Huey's name is also involved in the cheating case. She is very upset and wants to meet the boy responsible so she can scold him. However, when Jilan comes in front of her, she speaks very kindly to him and says that he is the most intelligent boy in the class. She asks him to please help Hui with her studies and then leaves. After she goes, Jilan tells Hui that he cannot tutor her. Hui asks why he can teach Yugji but not her. Leo tells her not to compare herself with Yugji, saying that he and Yugji grew up together, and their bond is different. He then leaves. Later, Han's father comes to meet the class teacher. He is a rich businessman, but even he does not know where Han is. We then see that Han has gone to another city to watch Lemon's concert. At the same time, Jian is waiting outside the school for his grandmother, but she does not arrive even after a long time. A neighbor comes and asks why his grandmother hasn't reached the school even though she left earlier. Hearing this, Jian panics and starts searching for her. He first goes home, but she is not there. He searches everywhere but cannot find her. Teacher Kong comes and asks why his grandmother did not come to school to meet him. Jian tells him that she is missing. Together, they search for her everywhere, but it gets late and she is still not found. They decide to wait at the school, as a police report has already been filed. Teacher Kong tells Jian to call him as soon as his grandmother is found. Later, a police officer brings Jian's grandmother home. Jian feels relieved and hugs her tightly. She starts crying and explains that she was on her way to the school but got lost. Jian calms her down, takes her inside, and sits with her to watch her favorite cartoon. Meanwhile, Teacher Kong waits outside the school all night for Jian's call, but Jian forgets to call him. The next day, Yugji's mother shows her test paper, where she scored 85 marks. Yugji is happy, but her mother still doubts her and asks her to take the test again. After she finishes, Jilan is called to check the paper. This time, she scores 90 marks, which finally convinces her parents that she did not cheat. The next day, her parents take Jilan and Yugji out for pizza. We then see Han and his father being beaten by his mother. Han complains to his father about why he tells his mother everything about school. When his father is about to scold him, he shows him a hook card he found in his pocket and threatens to show it to his mother. His father immediately becomes gentle and asks what he wants. Han says he must agree to everything he says, and he will return the cards one by one. Later, Jian meets Ming, who says it seems their teacher has found out that they are tutoring students. Ming gives Jian a letter he received from Malin the last time he went to her house. When Jian is about to read it in class with his friends, Han snatches it away and instead shows them Lemon's autograph. Everyone becomes excited. Han starts selling Lemon's autograph, but no one buys it because it is too expensive. He then says that along with the autograph, they will also get 10 seconds to talk to Lemon. Everyone gets excited. He takes them to a nearby telephone booth and calls Lemon, talking confidently as if he knows him well. Jian thinks he is fooling everyone, but it turns out that it really is Lemon on the call. Yugji talks to him excitedly and asks him to say a dialogue from his movie on speaker. Everyone goes crazy hearing it. At that moment, the headmaster arrives. The students run away, but Jilan, Han, Jian, and Yugji are taken to the headmaster's office. The headmaster scolds Han the most and explains that their class paper was very difficult because it was taken from Huang's school. However, all students scored very well, which makes him suspicious that someone stole the paper. He looks at Jian and he asks if he is accusing him, since he came from that school. Jian says that just because he came from there does not mean he stole the paper. At that moment, the class teacher arrives with Meilin's mother and Ming. Meilin's mother recognizes Jian and complains about him. After they leave, the headmaster calls Jian and tells him that helping others is fine, but tutoring students at home is against school rules. Jian argues that all the students he taught scored well. The headmaster asks why he is doing this, and Jian replies that he needs money. The headmaster has no answer. Jian leaves and meets the class teacher, asking to be removed from the monitor position. We see them sitting together, reading Meilin's letter, in which she apologizes to all of them because her mistake had dragged everyone into trouble. Since they had not met Meilin for many days and could not go directly to her house, they make a plan to meet her. They go to Meilin's colony, where Jian takes a speaker and starts shouting that there is a fire. Because of this, everyone comes out of their houses. When Meilin also comes outside, they catch her and take her along to a swimming pool so she can enjoy some time with them. There, they all have a lot of fun, and Meilin thanks them for doing all this for her. The next day, Yugji's mother scolds her and asks how she could take Jilan to the pool so late at night because he had developed a high fever. However, when Yugji's father checks him, Jilan is found to have chickenpox along with the fever. Because of this, Yugji's mother says that from today, you will stay in Jilan's room, and Jilan will stay in your room. After this, when Yugji goes to school, their teacher tells everyone that 7 children in their class have gotten chickenpox. Since it is chickenpox season, the school announces a 1-week holiday so that other children do not get affected. Hearing this, all the students become very happy, but the teacher does not let their happiness last long. He says that this time is very important, so they will not waste this 1 week. Therefore, he and their monitor, Jian, will go to everyone's houses daily to teach them. As soon as the holidays start, the teacher and Jian meet each other. They divide the students equally between themselves and decide whose houses they will go to and how they will teach them. The teacher also talks to Jian and apologizes to him. He says that he is his teacher, so he should have known about all his problems, but he failed to understand them. He asks for forgiveness and promises that from now on, he will always help him. He then gives Jian 2 chocolates and leaves. Jian says that he is their best teacher. After this, we see Han and his father sitting together. Suddenly, a phone rings and his father starts talking in Li Min's voice. From this, we understand that Han had made his father talk to everyone instead of Li Min, and according to their deal, he returns 1 card to his father for each call. After this, we see Jian going to Yugji's house to teach her. At that time, everyone there is sitting down for dinner, so Yugji's mother asks Jian to have dinner first. Jilan is sick, so he stays in his room. Yugji's brother asks Yugji for water, but she refuses to give it to him, and they begin fighting. Yugji's mother then tells Jian to ignore both of them and come eat food. After eating, Jian teaches Yugji and tells her that she cannot go out during the day, but she must meet him at 12:30 at night. At night, Yugji comes out of her room through the window and starts coming downstairs when she meets her brother there. He asks her what she is doing, and Yugji says that it should not concern him. Just then, Jian also arrives. Her brother says, "Oh, so you are going on a date?" Yugji tells him to stop talking nonsense, and because of their fight, both of them fall down. Hearing the noise, Jilan also wakes up. Seeing Yugji and Jian, he asks where they are going, but they do not tell him and leave after saying bye. Actually, they go to a cafe. There, Yugji reads a novel, while Jian and Han start playing games. After spending the whole night like this, they return home in the morning. After reaching home, Yugji tells Jilan everything. Jilan asks her if she now knows the meaning of abandon and tells her how she abandoned her childhood friend. He says that during the day she keeps watching TV and at night she goes out. He then says that he will be fine in a few days and then he will also go with her and they will study together at night. Later, Yugji takes some food to Jian's house at night. Jian also gives her some crabs that he collected that day because he never sends anything to her house. Yugji asks Jian if he had dinner and he says yes. But Yugji knows that he is lying, so she starts a crab-eating competition and says that he will not be able to eat faster than her. Both of them eat all the crabs one by one and Jian's stomach also gets full. Seeing this, Yugji becomes very happy. On the other side, we see the teacher going to Huey's house to teach her, but she is not at home because she has gone to meet Jilan. She asks him about his health and also asks if the girl he likes is Yugji. Jilan says yes. Hui then tells him that if he likes her, he should confess his feelings. Jilan asks if she has told anyone else about this, and Hui says no. She then asks if they are good friends now, and Jilan says yes. He then asks if she has ever had chickenpox, because he has not fully recovered yet. Hui lies and says that she had chickenpox in childhood and has also taken the vaccination. She says goodbye and leaves, thinking that sometimes, to stay close to the people we like, we have to lie. Meanwhile, when Teacher Kang is going home from her house, some of his papers fall in the bus. A beautiful girl comes there and picks up his papers. After seeing them, she realizes that he is a teacher. She tells him that she is also a teacher at Huang School. Teacher Kang keeps looking at her because the moment he saw her, he fell in love with her at first sight. At night, we see all of them in a gaming shop. The owner calls the headmaster. As soon as the headmaster arrives, they start running away. Han falls down and his leg hits something, causing gas to leak from a cylinder. The headmaster catches Han and takes him outside. Suddenly, the gaming shop blasts. Both of them are shocked, and Han thanks the headmaster for saving his life. Meanwhile, Yugji and Jian get separated while running. When Yugji finds herself alone, she gets very scared because she has lost her way. A man comes to her and says that he will drop her home. He takes her out of the alley, and Yugji starts telling him where she lives. While she keeps walking ahead, the man stops behind and starts whistling. When Yugji turns back, he is no longer there. She screams in fear and starts running. On the way, she meets Jian. She tells him everything, but he does not believe her and makes fun of her. He then takes her home. On the other side, Jilon is still searching for Yugji. The next day at school, Teacher Kang and a female teacher go to the headmaster. The female teacher says that she wants her class to participate in the upcoming competition. Teacher Kang says that this time Jian should be given a chance. He shows a slip that says the winner will get 800 yuan. Seeing this, the headmaster also agrees. The female teacher has no choice but to agree and leaves. The headmaster now also wants to help Jian. He tells Teacher Kang to prepare a report so he can take it to the education office and ask for a subsidy for Jian's studies. After this, we see Malin telling Yugji that she has an online friend whom she is going to meet today. Yugji becomes very happy for her because her love story is moving forward. Malin also tells her that the boy is 20 years old, so she has lied and said that she is also 20. Next, we see Yugji and Jian sitting in class and reading a novel. Jian asks her questions about the novel. Since Yugji has already read it, she explains all the characters to him. After school, we see Malin going to meet her online friend. There, she finds out that her friend is actually Yugji's brother, Yang Chao. Seeing this, she becomes shocked. At night, we see Teacher Kang at the bus stop and the English teacher arrives. Two boys start troubling her and Teacher Kang angrily tells them to leave. When the bus comes, he helps her on board but ends up getting beaten while trying to fight them. The next day, Yugji watches Jian in the TV contest he had participated in. Jian performs very well, and for the final question, they're asked about a novel which no one knows. But Yugji had already told Jian about it, so he answers it correctly and wins the competition, feeling very happy. After the holidays, Jilon goes to school and sees his father talking to the lady he likes. His father gives him leather shoes, but Jilon refuses them. At school, the teacher scolds the kids for lying about chickenpox. Jilon realizes he lied to him. Jian also misses school due to his parents' death anniversary. Han checks his bag, which contains several pairs of skating shoes. The headmaster arrives with a wanted poster, and Han runs away. At night, Malin and Yugji go to Jian's house. On the way, they hear whistling and get scared. But then Artie and Leo appear, and they assume it was them, but they say neither of them knows how to whistle. At Jian's house, they pray for his parents and talk. Han gives Jian shoes for the next day's skating race, which they win and enjoy. Elsewhere, Teacher Kang goes to grandmother and tells her Jian won't get a scholarship because of his past school. This makes her sad. That night, when Jian comes home, grandmother does not talk to him because she is upset. On the other hand, Yugji is left alone at home when her parents have to go out for urgent work. They lock the door from outside. Jilon is at home watching news about a fire at his mom's factory in Japan. Distresses, he tries to call his mom, but the power goes out, so he goes outside. There, he meets Hui and asks if she knows a place where he can watch TV. Hui takes him along. Yugji is scared at home in the dark, so she calls Jilon, but he's not home, so she informs Jian, who heads to her house. Jilon watches the news and tries calling his mom, but the phone is off, making him very worried. Hui prays for his mom's safety. Jian reaches Yugji's house, but the door is locked. He sits outside and tells her a story to calm her. Both fall asleep at the door. In the morning, Yugji wakes up, sees news on TV, and rushes to Jilon, who is waiting for his mom's call. When he finally gets the call, he starts crying and cannot speak. Yugji goes to his room to console him, telling him to call his mom if he feels okay. The next day, Yugji goes with her parents to her grandmother's memorial. Her parents take a long time there, and she has a test, so she asks her brother to go home with her, but he refuses, saying she can go alone by bus. Here he teases her about ghosts on the bus. She hits him and then goes alone to the bus stop. While waiting, a man whistles, frightening her. She boards the bus and sees a poster of the wanted criminal who recently killed many people, most of them teachers. When she looks back, she sees the same man, panicking. Then she hears a song and sees Jian cycling alongside her, singing to keep her calm. Jian accompanies her to the last stop. As Yugji gets off to meet Jian, she bumps into Jilon. Seeing both of them together, Jian goes home. Yugji asks Jilon what he is doing there, and he says he was just walking. They go home together. Jilon asks Yugji if she ate, and she refuses, so he goes out to get something for her. Meanwhile, Jian sees a wanted criminal poster while going home and remembers that this person was on the bus with Yugji, so he runs toward her house. Yugji, at her home, hears whistling and realizes it's the criminal, getting very scared. She tries to jump out of the window but sees Jian and tells him about the criminal. Jian fights the criminal but gets injured, and the criminal escapes and bumps into Jilan. Jian and Jilan chase him, but the police arrive and catch the criminal. The next day, the teacher shows the newspaper to class, praising Jian and Jilan for catching the criminal. They are honored for their bravery. But they were not even in class. They were at Yugji's house celebrating, where Yugji thanks both Jilan and Jian. A flashback shows that Yugji had informed them about attending her grandmother's memorial, so they had called her and met her on the way. Later, Jilan sees his father meeting the same lady again. His father returns her shoes and declares they must never meet again. The lady cries, throws the shoes in the trash, and walks away. Jilan realizes his father will no longer meet her for his happiness. Back at home, Yugji dreams of the wanted criminal in her room, waking to find her brother there. When she questions him, he says it's his house too. Suspicious, she discovers he stole chocolates sent by Jilan's mother from Japan. They fight over them until their mother enters, telling them to sleep. The next morning, Yugji makes a birthday card for Malin and tries calling her, but her phone isn't working. Following the wire, she finds it leads to her brother's computer. Meanwhile, Malin meets Yugji's brother, asking for help, and she introduces him as her new tutor to his mother. As Malin leaves, Chao gives her Yugji's card and the chocolate he had taken from her room. The next day, Jian prepares for school. Someone asks him to play basketball for his school. Worried the teacher won't allow it, he agrees once assured the English teacher will be the judge. His grandmother remarks on his old bicycle, noting how often it's been repaired. In class, the English teacher makes students read and answer questions. No one responds, so she threatens to make them stand all day. Teacher Kong overhears. After class, Han jokes with Jilan and Jian about him running 10 laps without clothes if they lose against Huang's school, but Jian is confident they will win. After school, they head to the match, but Kong stops them to study because they were scolded by the English teacher today. The students protest, reminding him the English teacher is the judge. Kong relents. At the match, everyone is distracted by the teacher. Before the game, Ming asks Jian for Yugji's number. Feeling jealous, Jian scolds Yugji for laughing in the distance, leaving Yugji confused. During the match, Huang's school cheats by pushing Han. Kong, to impress the teacher, awards points to them, causing Huang's school to lose. Jian has to run laps without clothes. That night, Kong waits at the bus stop for the English teacher. Jian finds him and questions why. Kong says he is visiting Hui's home due to her low scores recently. Jian doesn't fully believe him, but Kong sends him away. Jian then sees boys harassing Kang. He helps, recognizing them as the bullies he saved before, and introduces them to their teacher. The bullies ask if Kang likes the English teacher because their boss likes her too, then take Jian to meet their boss, recently released from jail. The boss scolds Jian for giving orders to his men. Jian explains he only stopped them from bothering classmates. The boss claims the street behind the school is his. Jian argues it belongs to everyone. The boss warns him to protect his grandmother's stall, then leaves giving him his card. Meanwhile, Jilan walks Hui home, initially refusing but eventually agreeing, making her happy. Yugji, still frightened by the wanted criminal, meets Jian along the way, calming her. After dropping Yugji, Jian finds his grandmother missing. At her stall, he sees some people arguing with her that she cannot set up the stall there at night. Grandma insists she paid rent for both day and night. Jian prepares to fight, but Grandma stops him, saying she works nights to save for a new bicycle. Jian convinces her to set up only during the day and promises to handle the night rent. The next day, Jian meets the boss to request half of the rent back. The boss agrees, but tells Jian to collect unpaid money from others first. Han is also there to pick up his drunk dad, and he overhears all of Jian and boss's conversation. Han spots money in his drunk father's bag and gets an idea. Yugji and Jilan are playing a game on Chao's computer when Han comes and takes Jilan to Jian's house. There, Jian tells them everything and Han gives his father's money to Jian, saying he has collected this money and we will give it to boss. Jian agrees. At school, Kong asks about Jilan and Jian. Hui says they are unwell. Kong sees them leaving with Han and follows them. At the club, they hand the money to the boss, who refuses, suspecting a trap. Han explains it's from home. The boss threatens to close Jian's grandmother's shop. Jian asks him to not harm his friends. They break a bottle to intimidate him. Kang intervenes, asking the boss 3 questions. Unable to answer, he returns Jian's money. The group celebrates. Kong explains how education gives power. They tricked the boss without violence. Jian asks if they've grown up. Kong confirms. Han teasingly asks about the English teacher. Kang admits he thinks about her too. Han apologizes shyly and leaves, making everyone laugh. Han's mom scolds him for stealing. His dad demands it back. Han hands it over angrily. Yugji insists on a computer. Her mom says she must score well first. The next day, Yugji and Jilan return from school. Jilan promises to help her study. Yugji realizes she left her English notebook and goes back. The door to the classroom won't open. She calls the guard, who approaches upstairs. Suddenly, Jian pulls her inside the classroom. They hide together. Jian explains he hurt his head and will stay at school tonight to avoid worrying his grandmother. Meanwhile, Han is at a gaming shop. The owner tells him to go home, saying his parents are looking for him. Han replies they are only searching for lost money. Yugji brings food and ice cream to Jian. She gives him her ice cream. Jian pretends it tastes awful and throws it away, knowing she wanted it for herself. The next day, in chemistry lab, Han accidentally causes an explosion, injuring himself. Everyone rushes him to the hospital. The doctor informs his father that surgery is needed, but no Rh-negative blood is available. Her mother arrives by a private jet to donate, creating an emotional moment for Han and her parents. Jian buys a pink hair clip for Yugji, but notices she is moving gifts from Jilan's mom to make space for a new computer, including a hair clip won by Jilan. Jian gets upset and refrains from giving his clip. Yugji and Jilan study together while her mom knits sweaters for them and Jian in red, green, and yellow colors, making them laugh at the traffic light look. Yugji's dad returns with a study machine instead of a computer, frustrating her. Her brother prepared an electric bedsheet, which excites her until she finds a fake snake inside and gets frightened. The next day at school, the headmaster scolds teacher Kang because experiments in other classes succeeded while theirs failed. Kang defends the class, saying he trusts Han, who did the experiment properly. Han struggles to explain, and Jian reassures Kang that the class always supports him. Unfortunately, the chemistry teacher is dismissed, and the class loses the chance for an open class experiment. That night, Yugji packs the electric bedsheet and takes food to Jian's school. Following his grandmother's hint, she finds him in the chemistry lab. She asks him what he's doing. Jian explains he wants to prove Han innocent. Yugji asks him to stand still for measurements for a sweater her mom is making. While taking measurements, they get very close. Jian pushes Yugji away, saying his grandma is waiting for him, and he pretends to leave, but secretly stays to watch over her. He does this because he's worried about coming between her and Jilan. The next day, Jian presents the repeated experiment, proving Han made no mistakes. The headmaster approves the open class experiment. Jian informs classmates that self-study hours will be increased by 1, angering them. Later, students read comics sent by Jilan's mom, ignoring teacher Kang. Frustrated, Kang warns them and takes the comics away. He scolds Yugji for reading a romantic comic. He then takes Jilan's comics. Jilan protests that they are gifts from his mother. Hui explains why the comics are important and convinces Kang to give them back, which surprises Jilan. Jian asks Jilan if he truly doesn't like Hui, then does he like Yugji instead? Jilan asserts he and Yugji are childhood sweethearts, and he won't explain their relationship to anyone. Meanwhile, Yugji calls Jian, and they go outside the staff room, learning Kang is leaving the school. He admits no one was at fault, and he should be punished. After school, Yugji, Jian, and Jilan visit Kang's house, but find him at a stall, drinking. Jilan apologizes for their earlier rudeness, acknowledges Kang's sacrifices, and requests he give the final open class lesson. Kang agrees. The class studies hard and performs exceptionally. Teacher Kang delivers the final open class lecture, observed by the headmaster. Kang apologizes to Jilan and Yugji, promising support even if he's no longer their teacher. The students are deeply moved. A flashback shows Kang repeating the experiment, confirming Han made no mistake, and informing the headmaster. Presently, the students applaud as Kang bids goodbye. The next day, Kang brings good and bad news. Despite excellent marks, no certificates will be given, but he has the chance to teach them again, lifting their spirits. That night, Jian finds a tiffin Yugji gave him, and the electric bedsheet she brought. He calls Yugji to thank her but asks about homework. She patiently answers twice, ignoring the third call. Jian then calls her house line to inform her about the comic Kang took, which her mother picks up and scolds Yugji for. Jian enjoys dumplings oblivious. The next day, Yugji and Jilon swap keychains, upsetting Jian. After study, Jian drops Yugji home, promising a gift if she scores well. She says the same thing to him. Jilon gets a computer from his father, chats online with his mom, and prepares to study. In exam results, Jian excels. Jilon scores slightly lower but is unconcerned. Seeing Hui upset, Jilon books her an English course and shows her gloves on a magazine he wants to get for his mom. Hui promises to buy them for him. Yugji gives Jian skating shoes for his gift. Jian plans a pink hair clip for Yugji, but hesitates and lies he left it at school. Jilon's father gives him money for a suit because his mother is soon coming to visit him. Jilon persuades Yugji to accompany him instead of going to skate with Jian. Jian keeps waiting for her, and by the time she reaches, Jian has left, but reassures her he'll give her the gift next day. Jilon meets his mom. He brings her the gloves Hui had made herself. Jian later visits Yugji. They play rock, paper, scissors. Yugji's mom shows Jian childhood photos of Jilon and Yugji, upsetting him. The group visits a hotel to meet Jilon's mom, who gives gifts including matching hats for Jilon and Yugji. Jian is upset seeing them, but they take photos. Back home, Yugji suggests doing homework with Jian, but he brushes her off as he is still upset. She leaves the group photo, and finally when Jian sees that Yugji is only looking at him in the photo, he runs to find her and gives her the pink hair clip. Yugji is delighted, making them both happy. Jilon happily brings his mom home and starts preparing food, but she stops him, explaining she is getting married soon and wants Jilon to stay with her, which angers and upsets him. He locks himself in his room. Yugji calls all friends for help, and Jian eventually breaks a window to get in. He finds Jilon crying while looking at his mom's photo and stays with him overnight. The next morning, Yugji is studying. Jilon hasn't eaten, so Yugji's mom sends food for him. Jilon tells Jian to leave, but Jian refuses to leave until he opens the door. Jian explains he's doing it because Jilon is his friend and insists he eat, but Jilon still refuses. At Yugji's house, Han and Malin deliver books for Yugji and Jilon, who had both skipped school that day. Yugji's mom gets angry because she was unaware Yugji had school that day, but Yugji explains she was worried about Jilon. Jilon retreats to his father's room, refusing to come out, and Jian promises not to leave either. Seeing no progress, Yugji comes up with a plan. She asks Malin to chat with Jilon from a different ID, following her instructions to cheer him up. They spend the day chatting, slowly bringing a smile to Jilon's face. Jian notices Jilon hasn't eaten and arranges vegetables to cook him some food. Jian starts cooking, and it becomes clear he's never done it before. While cooking, the stone he wears around his neck falls to the floor. He searches for it, and Jilon helps him find it, knowing the stone is very important to Jian. Jian notices some cards in Jilon's room and asks about them. Jilon explains he collected them hoping to gather 1,000 yuan to go to Japan, though that plan is now useless. Jian encourages him to continue collecting them anyway. They calculate how many noodle packets they need to get enough cards and call Han to order a large batch. The two eat the noodles raw to collect the cards, but after consuming so many, they both feel sick and rush to the washroom. That night, Yugji visits Jian's grandmother, who tells her that Jian also wears a stone around his neck and tells him the stone is a keepsake from Jian's parents, who died when he was 3 months old. It was meant to be a birthday gift, but they couldn't give it to him. Yugji takes the story to heart and, with Malin's help, speaks to Jilon, explaining that everyone's life is imperfect and that he should cherish the good moments instead of dwelling on the bad. Jilon realizes Yugji is talking about Jian and, inspired, calls Jian to go to school together the next day. Jian, relieved, happily agrees, having worried about Jilon for 2 days. The three friends walk to school together. Jilon notices a football placed on his bicycle and assumes Yugji left it, so he takes it along. At school, the teacher announces that Jian has won another prize, presenting him with the prize and money. The teacher then shares one good and one bad news. The good news is that the school is giving them 3 days off, while the bad news is that after the break, their first moral test will take place. Motivated, the students start studying. 3 days later, exam day arrives. After the exam, Jilon prepares to go to Japan for his mother's wedding. Before leaving, he tells Yugji that next time, he will take her with him. Back at school, the teacher informs the students that no one performed well on the test, prompting a parent meeting. Maylene's mother becomes furious at her poor marks, ignoring Maylene's complaints of stomach pain. Han's father scolds him, but Han cleverly blackmails his dad. Yuji's father meets the teacher to discuss her marks. Jian receives a parcel at home containing sweets his grandmother had packed. Jian tells her that wherever she sent them, the recipients are either deceased or no longer live there. Jian asks his grandmother why she sent it. Grandma insists she didn't send anything, but Jian had seen her packing the parcel himself. He asks again, and when she repeats her denial, Jian realizes something is wrong. Concerned, he quietly takes her to the hospital for tests, where he learns that she has Alzheimer's disease, which causes her to gradually forget memories. Jian is deeply emotional, but hides his tears from his grandmother. Yugji, upset on her marks, runs to Maylin, and they cry together. Jilon returns from Japan and gives Yugji a new hair clip, also showing her a football. Yugji clarifies that she didn't give the football, someone else did. A flashback reveals Hui had gone to Hong Kong for a ballet performance, and learning from her teacher about Jilon's situation, that his mother's upcoming marriage had caused him to lock himself in his room. Hui worriedly wants to cancel her performance. When it is her turn to perform, she is initially nervous, but remembering moments spent with Jilon, she delivers an excellent performance. Afterwards, she meets Yugji, boasting that she dances well and excels in math, yet Jilon doesn't notice her. Yugji advises her to stop comparing herself. She then asks Yugji about Jilon. Yugji reassures her that they are just friends, making Hui happy. Before leaving, Yugji asks her whether Jilon likes football. Hui confirms, making Yugji realize that Hui understands Jilon very well. Yugji later tells Jilon that Hui gave him the football as a gift because he loves it. At school, Hui's mother speaks to the teacher, explaining that Hui had a golden opportunity to participate in the Hong Kong ballet, which could have earned her a graduation degree without completing school. Hui refuses, wanting to finish her studies with her friends. Early the next morning, Jian locks his grandmother at home to ensure her safety while he sets up a stall. Afterward, he sits down to research herbs for treating Alzheimer's disease. Han arrives, and Jian explains he needs these herbs. Han asks if he is ill, and Jian explains. At Yuji's home, Chao reveals he gets to study at MIT on scholarship. His parents are thrilled, but Chao explains he wants to start his own business instead, which angers his parents. The next day at school, Jilon thanks Hui for the football, making her smile. He asks about her earlier competition, but Hui stays silent. She had actually won the Hong Kong ballet opportunity, but turned it down for Jilon. Jilon assumes she failed due to English, and he offers to help her study for next time, which Hui accepts gratefully. Yugji, meanwhile, refuses her parents' suggestion to learn music, believing it won't help improve her marks. The next day at school, Jian and Jilon learn Yugji has been missing all day, so they go to look for her with her parents. They find Yugji at Han's house, upset from her mother's constant pressure regarding studies. Yuji's mother gently explains that now Yugji must make her own choices, whether for university or another path, and tells Chao the same about his future. She reminds them that if they ever regret their decisions, they can always come back home, then leaves. The next day, the friends help at Jian's grandmother's stall, aware of her Alzheimer's now. Later, Yugji visits her mom for her birthday, but she ignores her. Trying to cheer her, Yugji plays the violin she had given her, but her father stops her when she plays poorly. Feeling alone, Yugji confides at Jian's house that she can't connect with her family. Jian says he can't relate as he has no memories of his parents, but reassures her they do care. Yugji finds her home empty and messy. After accidentally locking herself out, she learns her mother has lost her job and now works as a cleaner. Jian follows her to ensure her safety, and seeing her mother cleaning overwhelms Yugji with emotion. Despite Jian and Jilan's comfort, she continues to cry, frustrated by her mother's fall from a high-ranking position. The next day, Yugji sees on the news that many workers were laid off. Jilan's father plans to work in another city. Yugji's mother hesitates to face her daughter, but her father reminds her she must, like everyone else, confront life's challenges. Jian visits Jilan's house and Jilan explains the factory director falsely accused his father of theft, and Yugji's mother was also fired for defending him. The friends plot revenge. At the factory, Malin distracts the director, Jilan bumps into him, and Jian breaks his glasses. Han throws dirty water, leading him into the women's washroom where he's beaten. The group escapes and later Yugji learns the director will be fired. She then asks Jian to teach her singing, and they enjoy time together. At home, Yugji tells Jilan that her mother is avoiding her meals and chores. Jilan offers to intervene, but Yugji insists she'll handle it herself. Han arrives at Jilan's house to stay with him because of his fight with his dad. Yugji leaves porridge and a note for her mother, then returns the violin and sings a song, quietly moving her. Jian finds his grandmother confused by Alzheimer's, mistaking him for her son. At school, Malin teases Yugji about liking Jian, encouraging her to confess. Chao comes to talk to Han and Yugji notices Han acting secretively with Jilan and Jian, deciding to watch closely. Meanwhile, Chao tries to sell hats to Han's father and is refused. When Yugji sees Chao wearing a weird hat, he claims he's going for a date, though it's really a group business effort where the boys try to sell hats. During their operation, the students come across the headmaster and he recognizes them, causing everyone to run. Yugji and Jian manage to distract the headmaster hide. Here Yugji asks Jian if he likes someone, and he admits he does, but before he can elaborate, Jilan arrives. Malin drops Chao home on her bicycle, and Yugji sees her behavior, realizing Malin has a crush on her brother. Meanwhile, Han tries calling his mom because his father trapped him and his friends today, but his father tells him that only 2 people remain in the family, shocking Han. Chao and Jilan visit Yugji's house and are scolded by her father because the headmaster told him about the hat incident. Jilan apologizes and promises not to repeat such behavior. Chao is also scolded for trying to prioritize business over studies, but insists he now wants to go to America. His parents are relieved, and Chao shows money he saved to cover his own expenses. Jilan asks Yugji's parents about her father in Gongju and is assured he's fine. The next day, the teacher announces the second moral exam and student pairings, Jian with Yugji, Jilan with Hui, Malin alone as she also studies tuition at home. Han is upset over his parents' divorce on which they console him. After school, Yugji follows Jian out of jealousy when he goes somewhere with a girl. She confronts him, then leaves angrily and falls off her bike. There, sees her mother now running a meatball stall, upsetting her further. Jilan goes to drop Hui at her house after they complete studying. Jian calls Yugji, but she ignores him, so he goes to her place. Yugji tells him to go home. Jian clarifies he has no girlfriend, and Yugji pretends not to care. He stops her upstairs, explains the girl was Minky auntie, not his girlfriend, and kisses her forehead instead, making Yugji smile. Next morning, Jian wakes to his grandmother acting oddly, claiming it's his wedding day, while friends worry since he hasn't set up his stall. At school, they meet Ming and he tells them Jian works part-time at a factory. Everyone goes there to help and start working, ignoring Jian's warning about the chemical-filled pool. Yugji visits her mother's food stall, buying all the meatballs so her mom can leave sooner. She is touched, and Yugji assures her friends will help if she sets the stall near her school. At night, Yugji is listening to radio while studying. She gets to know that radio station is playing selected people's love letters, and she writes one too. Later, everyone helps Jian again. While working, Jian and Jilan teach Han English words, and Han demonstrates bargaining in English, amusing everyone. After work, Jian gets his first salary and offers to treat everyone, but they insist he save it, leaving him speechless. Yugji brings meatballs for Jian's grandmother, who mistakes Jian for her son and Yugji for her daughter. She feeds Yugji, acknowledging her as family, and places Jian's hand in Yugji's, making her smile. Later, they study together on the roof. After Yugji leaves, Jian uses a machine he created from a book to give his grandmother a massage, helping slow her Alzheimer's progression. Jilon studies at Yugji's house and notices some medicine, asking if anyone is unwell. Yugji's father lies it's for Chao going to America, but Jilon overhears a conversation and learns his own father is sick, so he immediately books train tickets. That evening, Yugji helps him pack, and he tells her about the 2 tickets. She asks him to wait for her at the station tomorrow, making him happy. The next morning, Jilon waits, but Hui arrives instead. A flashback shows Hui went to Yugji after missing Jilon at his house. Yugji tells Hui about the 2 tickets and Hui agrees to go along. They reach Jilon's dad's house, and at the door, Jilon asks Hui to remove her hairband, but Hui refuses, saying she bought it for 10 yuan. Seeing his dad's worsened health and the poor city conditions, Jilon becomes upset. Meanwhile, Jian tries to leave for his part-time job, but Grandma stops him. Yugji says she'll stay with Grandma so he can go to work with their friends. On their way back, Maylin's mom scolds her, which makes Maylin upset. Jian's grandmother goes to make dumplings for Yugji, but when she comes back, she only has a pot of boiling water, and she accidentally spills the water on Yugji. Jian comes in, and he rushes Yugji to the hospital. Jilon takes care of his father, then goes out to meet Hui, who is waiting for him. He hands her the ballet application form he filled out for her. Hui gets upset and asks why he is giving it to her. A flashback shows Jilon meeting Hui's mother after taking Hui home earlier. Her mother tells him that Hui placed first in a ballet competition and was offered a chance to go to Hong Kong, but she gave it up for him and her friends. Back in the present, Jilon urges Hui to follow her dreams, and she starts crying. He then gives her a pair of red ballet shoes he brought from Japan, which makes her very happy. Exam day arrives, and Jilon and Yugji go together to give their exams. Yugji's mother encourages her to write the paper calmly, though she herself is very nervous. On the other hand, we see Hui in Hong Kong, performing her ballet dance while wearing the shoes Jilon had given her. A few days pass, and the exam results are announced. Yugji returns home, shows her result to her parents, and then goes to her room. Her parents are happy to see her marks, but she is still 20 marks short of getting into her favorite university. Just then, Yugji comes out of her room holding a newspaper and shows it to her parents before leaving. The paper announces an inter-school running competition where the winner will receive 20 extra marks. Hearing this, her parents are overjoyed, realizing that if Yugji wins the race, she can get into her dream university. Yugji begins intense practice for the race. Meanwhile, Han's father tells him that he and her mother divorced because her mother wanted to pursue an MBA. Her mother is a businesswoman who has traveled the world and wanted to grow further, so she went abroad. Before leaving, she gave him 2 options, either go with her or divorce her. Since he is an ordinary person who is content with a simple life, he chose not to leave the city, which led to their divorce. Now, he and Han's mother have decided to send Han abroad to study, because he doesn't want him to live an ordinary life like him. He adds that since Han's blood group is the same as his mother's, he is extraordinary too. We then see Maylin, who has locked herself inside her house because she doesn't want to give the college entrance exam, fearing she will fail. Chao comes to motivate her. Since Maylin likes him, she agrees to give the exam. The next day, all the friends gather, and Han tells them he will be going abroad. While they are talking, Jian arrives, but doesn't stay and goes home. It starts raining outside. At home, Grandma becomes frightened as she recalls a past flood, and when the electricity goes out, she becomes even more scared. Jian looks for a torch but can't find one, so he tells Grandma to stay inside and goes out to get one. At school, students continue studying even after the power goes out, lighting candles and studying with dedication. Outside the classroom, we see Han, who has dropped out of school because he is going abroad, watching the students and remembering his memories with them. When Jian returns home with the torch, Grandma refuses to recognize him. He tries repeatedly to remind her that he is her grandson, but she completely denies it. Shevla arrives, calms Grandma down, and asks Jian to go outside. He leaves crying, devastated, because Grandma is the only family he has. Meanwhile, Yugji goes to buy supplies from the shop outside school. On her way back, she sees Jian crying. He tells her that his grandma doesn't recognize him anymore, and he breaks down. Yugji hugs him tightly to comfort him. At the same time, Jilon is in the classroom listening to the radio, where Yuji's love letter written for Jian is being read out. Hearing this, Jilon becomes very upset. The next day, Jilon receives a call from his mother, asking him to come to Japan to study with her. His decision is not revealed. All the friends go to Jian's house to help take care of his grandma. Later, Malin goes to meet Chao to give him something on Yuji's behalf. They start liking each other, but Chao lies, saying his girlfriend is waiting for him, and leaves. Malin gets upset, unaware that he lied only so she wouldn't get distracted from her studies. As exams approach, everyone studies very hard, and Yugji prepares seriously for her race. On race day, she comes first. One day, Yuji's family is watching TV together with Jilon. Hui appears on TV, and Yugji teases Jilon. While they joke around, Chao playfully slaps their faces, making Yugji angry. She tries to hit him back, and Jilon gets stuck between them. Everyone continues studying diligently. One day before the exam, Jian notices Grandma crying. She admits she misses her hometown and asks if he can take her there. Jian happily agrees. On exam day, everyone performs well. Malin tells her mother she didn't do well again, but for the first time, her mother reassures her, saying, "It's okay. Whatever you do in life, do it well," and leaves. A girl approaches Malin, saying she also didn't do well, but that life offers many choices. She gives Malin a form to become an air hostess. Malin smiles, finally understanding her path. The friends sit together sadly because Han is leaving to go abroad. Since no one speaks, Han promises gifts to each of them, make up for Malin, a challenge to Jilon about English, running shoes for Yugji, and a hearing aid for Grandma. He pretends to be cheerful but cries as he leaves. Every friend group has that one friend who is always available with just one call, and Han was that friend. Later, Yugji checks her results and finds she has excellent marks and has secured admission to her favorite university. Her parents are very happy. Jilon confesses that he likes her. She responds casually with a hug, but he clarifies that he likes her romantically. He then reveals he is going to Japan to study with his mother and asks her to promise she will attend her dream university. Yugji becomes upset and asks why he didn't tell her earlier. Jilon doesn't answer and leaves. Yugji cries, remembering all the moments they shared. Later, Yugji and Jian take care of Grandma together. That night, Jian walks Yugji home. On their separate paths, both cry. In a voiceover, it's revealed that Yugji once asked Jian which university he wanted to attend. He said he doesn't want to go to university because he wants to travel with Grandma and create memories before she forgets everything. He advises Yugji to focus on college. They part ways in tears. After some time, Yugji gets admitted to university and receives a letter from Jian. He writes about traveling with Grandma and says he was glad to be her classmate. Reading the letter, Yugji cries deeply. We then learn that Han's father bought Jian's house to help him financially and promises to take good care of it. In the final scene, Jian is traveling with Grandma, telling her they will first visit her hometown and then travel to other places. Grandma smiles happily. The drama ends here.